Hi, this is Scott from Digital Fish with content that catches. Our far north trip was in full swing, and this day we planned to head up the coast and fish the Moturoa Islands. My fishing companion was George New, a keen rock fisherman just like myself. The dawn light was reflecting off the Karikari Peninsula and the day looked like it was going to be awesome. We had a decision to make, with the tide still covering our first choice of location, so after a bit of reconnaissance we found a small rock stack with current moving across its front side. We set up and could see topwater action with KAHAWAI working through the current. Early morning can be the right time to cast topwater lures, so out came stickbait rod to search the water in front of us. George broke out his topwater gear too to see if a kingfish was hunting in our area. A brightly coloured pigfish, or maybe a foxfish, was working the surge in front of me, picking up pieces of fish from the berley leaching out of our onion bag. It took a little while for KAHAWAI to appear, George scoring one on a floating bait. The ledge looked like it had some good potential. We had current, kelp beds and a drop off at our feet, and so amongst the small snapper we were expecting something bigger to be lurking in the shadows. More rocky coastline down the shoreline also looked very fishy. Small snapper and more KAHAWAI showed themselves. This KAHAWAI was going out as a live bait for something bigger and greener. This stingray was quite bold and came up and bumped my camera at one stage. Then I saw probably one of the strangest things I've ever seen on the rocks. A KAHAWAI was swimming and was hooked on some line. However, a metre behind it, a dead snapper about the same size was being dragged behind it. You can see here is the KAHAWAI, and there is the snapper. I was trying to cast a stickbait to try and snag the line so I could free the fish, but it swam past and I missed it, and it just kept going. The rest of the morning we encountered all kinds of fish as the tide slowly dropped. We decided to shift and search for bigger fish. We had to find a ledge with deeper water or more current, so I headed out into the bay onto one of the other islands. We found a good point with a bit of shelter and set up the berley again. A school of small snapper ambushed our berley bag, and we set about trying to find something bigger amongst the schools of average sized redfish. Finally, something powerful took my bait and dragged me around the kelp bed. Those first few moments of the fight can be hard to call. Big snap or small king? This turned out to be a small king. It can be tricky trying to unhook fish down near the water because you don't want to drag him over the rocks, but if you don't watch the waves you can get wet or worse, washed in. George's rod had a good bend in it. Finally, a snapper with a bit of substance to it. I had a look through my bag and pulled out some metal lures. I was going to try a new method, shore jigging. Jigging lures, but from the shore, so not too complicated in theory, and potentially very expensive. This is a kicktail lure from Kingfish Tackle. 20 minutes of casting was pretty boring, but then something solid smashed my kicktail, and I was in, not to mention, maybe just a little surprised. There it was, a solid 6 kilo snapper caught shore jigging. A fluke? Maybe, but I caught more fish as the afternoon wore on. We also spotted a huge bronze whaler cruise past us. He could probably smell the burley, but left us alone thankfully. George also caught fish, but on the bait. The afternoon shadows were growing long, so it was time to break down the rods and pack up. With some nice fish in the bag, we bounced back over the waves with a stiff westerly behind us. Eventful, productive, and some things we'd never seen before, it was another cool trip in paradise, also known as the Far North. This is Scott from Digital Fish with content that catches.